Hi, welcome to Part of My Frenchie. This is me, 143. If you don't have a friend, you have one now. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Tuesday. It is Pet Loss Tuesday. Let me refocus here a little bit. How is everybody today? I hope everybody is doing well. So happy to be back. Got lots of cool stuff. Well, good stuff to talk about tonight. So if you're here, welcome, 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 welcome. I always say, just like anything, the only rules that are on this channel is that everybody's respectful to one another. So, hello, beautiful moderators in, and again, go put your name in the chat if you've lost somebody recently. You can add their name to the chat at the end. We always will light our candle at the end on Pet Loss Tuesday because this is a very important day. My Rosie's gonna come here. Come on. Rosie's gonna join us up here. Come on. Come. Well, don't go that way. Come this way. Oh, my Rosie's gonna. Hello, Dave. Dave and Violet are here. So Dave made it from picking up his pizza. Dave was going to pick up pizza last time I had seen him. So we've got both the girls are here. Here's Coco Chanel. She's trying to get up on the couch too. So let's see if we can make room for everybody because nobody wants to. Oh, okay, you just got okay. Well, the potatoes here. Hello, Aaron. Hello. Welcome. Yes, we'll see if the girls are going to behave today or they're not. We'll see because I didn't get them bones this time. So, but they were pretty good earlier. Are you guys coming up here? Or are you just going to look at me like that? Come on, come. You gotta let Sissy through. Come on, get off the stairs. One you always stops the other one from coming up on the stairs. No, you can't jump this way. Here, move over so Coco can come up here. If not, she's gonna jump over and knock everything down. Oh, good. Well, at least it's at least it's pizza day, right? Everybody loves pizza. All right, come on, Cokie. Cokie Chanel's coming up too. Everybody's coming up. Everybody's gonna probably fight each other too. So got the girls are both here, and like I said, I didn't get a chance to get them bones. So we're gonna see how we behave today. But so far so good. They've been. I know you're so good. They're joining us on Pet Loss Tuesday, which is always good. So I think they bring. I think they bring peace and happiness. Yes, you do. I always said that about my Lola. My Lola's roaming around somewhere. But Lola used to be a, what do you call it? She used to go to nursing homes and so forth and visit people that were, she used to go and visit nursing homes and so forth and people that were sick and so Lola was just there's something about just to me there's something about animals that just kind of changes people's mood a little bit. Even when I had my pet loss shows in person, I often would bring Lola, and she would go around and everybody just loved her. She just, it was just kind of a good kind of break, a little mental release. And I think sometimes even after, I know, right? I thought the same thing when Dave said that he was going to pick up pizza. I'm like, oh man, that sounds good. Pizza sounds so good. Patty's here. Good, Patty's here. Hello. But yeah, so she but it was always nice. It was always nice for people to, come and, just be able to relax and kind of, have their safe space to talk about, what they lost. But even I always found too, even when I had my own losses in life, I bet Gary is watching. So, yep. Shout out to Gary too, because Gary's probably out there too. So hello. Say Coco say hello? I know you're so good today. You're being so good today. I'm gonna say that, and then she's gonna knock over my set. I know because you did that last time. I was I was taping a segment, and I was taping one of my segments, and the girls were playing like American Gladiator on the ground because they never. Oh, poor Coco. Um, they they play American Gladiator where they try to like wrestle around him, and I was trying to tape a segment for my show, and sure enough, like within 2 seconds, they both like took out the camera, and I mean, and that went down, and um, like I said, I love my Coco, but a lot of times she's the one that knocks things over, breaks things, jumps haphazardly. Um, Rosie just tends to just sleep here, but yeah. So, anyways, oh yeah, you know what? I oh oh yeah, I was gonna say we have to get the flags right. Oh, you got the right flag this time, Patty, for Michelle. Um, I know, because like you were saying, there was different flags for New Zealand on there for some reason. So good. I'm glad you got the right flag and the right flag for Canada as well. See, it's always good to have friends all over the world. That's what I always say. So, um, but yeah, and it's funny thing. Patty brought up a story which I don't. I'll pull it up for Frenchie Friday. But there was something. Now this did happen in New Zealand, um, but there was something with parakeets, and so I'm going to research that a little bit more, and I'll bring it to you on Frenchie Friday because it actually was a really good story. So this Friday I'll bring that story to you because she brought it to me, and I must say our snails, our snail eggs started hatching, which that was interesting. So yeah, so we started getting baby snails. I mean, they're like microscopic small. Are you gonna knock that? Okay. They're like microscopic small, but aw. Um, but yeah, so we started to have baby snails up there today, and we've got 3 more like big egg sacs. So Lord knows how many little snails are going to come out of that, because from my understanding, you get quite a few in these little egg pouches. So yay. So we yeah, yeah, I'm a grandma to snails now. Yeah. You know what? You're right, Erin, because how many do I have in there? I think I've got 5 snails in there, 5 mystery snails. And I will tell you what, like, they're already all over the place anyways. But all of a sudden, like, I went to, clean out the aquarium like I do every week. And I was like, oh no, there's like these huge clusters of eggs at the top. And I'm like, I had never seen snail eggs before. And Michelle's here. Hey, Michelle. Hello. With Yes. Well, see, that's what I'm kind of concerned about. um, also because I have little African frogs in there too. So I'm thinking, because there's 3 or 4 other like big egg sacs that are at the top of the thing that have not hatched yet. So I may have to put those in a different aquarium because I'm afraid the frogs are going to eat them. So because they're so small. But yeah, I thought that was really, really interesting today. I was like, oh boy, we got, the snail things, because I was meaning to move them. And then all of a sudden I had seen the one egg sac had dropped down into the water. And I'm like, oh, why did that happen? And then I looked, and all like on the little glass, you could see these real, real small little snails. So I was like, oh boy. All right. So I better, get, something going with that. But yeah, I was saying, Michelle, that Frenchie Friday, I'm going to bring a story. It is from New Zealand, and it does involve birds. Patty had found it for me. So, I'll bring that to you. It was interesting. It was about parakeets. So, which you might already know about it, but it was about parakeets. Yeah, well, Aaron, like, it was weird. The snails went all the way up. They went all the way up to the top of like the lid of the aquarium, and they hung up, like they had to have hung upside down in order to lay these eggs. Um, so like I said, I had never seen anything like it. The other day I had seen one of them that was like going up to the top of the aquarium, and it was like hanging upside down, and I'm like, what is he doing up there? But yeah, so we're yeah, save Trixie. Oh yeah. Well, we'll talk about that on Frenchie Friday. Um, yeah, we've noticed some of my two parakeets too had laid two eggs in the cage. I didn't even know they were male and female. I thought they were both just male. So, you know, shocking to me. Now, granted, they're not even fertilized because there was no nest in there. So, of course, for some reason, if birds don't have a nest in their cage, they just break them. So there was no kind of nest in there, and they just got rid of the eggs, just dumped them off to the side. So, but yeah, I didn't even know I had a male and a female bird. I just thought I thought I had either two girls or two boys, and boy, was I surprised. So yeah, I guess spring is in the air. Spring is in the air. So, yeah, that's what that's about. But, yes, that was exciting too. Over this past week, I gained 370 new subscribers. So that's fabulous. Now, if they would show up to the lives, that would be nice too. That would be nice too. But I mean, they're watching the videos too, which is great. But just whatever. I'm just happy if people subscribe, or they come over here, or at least if they find us in some sort of way. Because that's what it's all about. It's about, especially Pet Loss Tuesday is such that Pet Loss Tuesday is so like near and dear to me. It's not even funny. And who has a worm farm? You have a worm farm, Michelle? You know what? It's funny that my frogs eat little red worms. Not, I mean, they're like real tiny, tiny red worms, but I didn't know a worm farm. I guess some people have those. I think I've heard about that like years ago, but I've never known anybody that's had one. Yeah, well, that's and that's yeah, a giveaway to snails. Yeah. No, I haven't. No, Aaron, because they don't ever come out of the water, and maybe that's why. But no, and that's another thing too with the frogs. The moderator, we're looking at the frogs the other day, and she's like, that one looks a little fat. I'm like, great, just add to the more pregnancies in this house, between the birds and the snails. Oh, really? I didn't know that. No, I've never heard of them. Really? I will. I'll look that up as soon as we get off. That's really, yeah, no, I never, yeah, I've never heard of that before. And I've got 5 little ones in there, 5 little frogs, except for now there's one that's pretty plump. So I don't know if she's going to have froggy. I don't know. Like I said, spring is in the air in this household for some reason. I'm just, glad that, oh, well, I guess because our frogs are probably nocturnal, I'm assuming too. Huh. Interesting. See, that's, you need to send some pictures of that. I'd like to see that. The worm farm too. Yeah, frogs. Yeah, they're cute. They're cute as hell. Hello, Kristen. Hello. Welcome. Welcome to Pet Loss Tuesday. So if you found us, welcome. We will have Frenchie Friday this Friday. Absolutely. I must say, we've had some changes at my other job, my real job, and oh, really? Oh, yay! That's exciting. Aaron, Kristen's your cousin? Yay! Oh, yay! Thank you for stopping in. Wonderful. Thank you. So yeah, we've been having all these changes at work and so forth, and And as a lot of you know, I'm a supervisor at my job, and so there was a lot of changes that I had to deal with work, and so it just with these changes has piled on some extra hours with regards to my schedule, and like this past week I worked over 100 hours, and it just gets exhausting. It gets exhausting, but it's temporary. That's the way I look at it. It's a temporary situation, but it's exhausting at times. So, yeah. So, oh yay, good. I want to, yeah, I want to see. Yeah, good. I think that's interesting. I've never known anybody that had a worm farm, so that's really really cool. So, that's really really cool. So I will, let's see here. So we're on Frenchy Friday, and because I was having printer issues, I had, you know what, and here's, I always call this like, anytime like anything bad happens, or like not bad, I shouldn't say bad. Anytime I get inconvenienced, like I was printing off all my stuff for tonight, and my printer cartridge just went out, right? I'm like, shoot, I only had like, an hour before coming on here, and I'm like, shit, I gotta go, get printer cartridges so I can print my stuff off. And I went to the one store that always has it, and of course they were sold out. I'm like, shoot, so I went to another store and they didn't have it, and I'm like, man, oh man, I'm like striking out, right? And so then I ended up having to go to this third store, which was further. And I was like, like running on time and all this stuff. But I will say, when I parked, I was pulling into my parking spot. There was a lady in front of me getting in her car. And, I just happened to be grabbing my stuff to get out of my car quickly. And I looked, and in her cart that was next to her cart, because she didn't put her cart away. I'm a very big put your cart away kind of person, but she was older, so I'm not going to get on her too much. But anyway, so in her cart, I noticed that she like dropped like a pack of hot dogs that she had just bought. And so I was like jumping out of my car because I didn't want her to pull off without her hot dogs. But the cool thing is when I went jumping out of my car, I like flagged her like, hey, and she like rolled her window down. But when I went to grab her hot dogs, she also left her wallet in that cart as well. So I kind of look at it as probably God was looking out for her. Inconvenienced me a little bit, but was looking out for her in the long run. So I was meant to go to that store and able to make sure that this lady didn't leave without her hot dogs or her wallet, most importantly. So I you always take a negative and make it a positive. That's kind of the way I look at it. So, but with that being said, I did not get to print out as many pictures as I normally do, like I normally have fun with. So we will kind of use the, this is, PetLoss, this is PetLoss Tuesday. And if you're new here, Dave and Patty, wait, this is my Lola. Here, this is my Lola. This is my Rosie. This is Michelle. Wait, we're here. This is Michelle and New Zealand's Buddy. This is the moderators and my grand dogs, Noir. That's Coco. Well, there's Coco right there. There's Coco. And then over here is Violet. This is Dave and Patty's Violet. So anyway, so there we go. And I will show. So, and then, well, actually, here, Kristen, since you're on, you'll get a kick out of this one because I still do have this one up. So this was on my last show. So this is I really do enjoy doing these AI photos. But I like, people that are normally on here. I do enjoy, just kind of, you guys are very special to me. You show up every, Tuesday and Friday, and I do appreciate it. So absolutely, everybody's a YouTube star here. So, so yes, so there's, and then on this side we've got Michelle and Patty, and Yeah, exactly. Then we got Michelle and Patty, and um, and then oh, and then here's the moderator, Dave and Patty. So, and then me, of course. But yeah, so send your pictures of your pets. Yes, exactly. If you want your pets featured on the show, please send an email into part of my Frenchie. This is me 143 at yahoo.com, and it's also on the main page as well. So, anyways, but I thought since we were getting into this, here I will the kind of the theme tonight, because I was trying to, we always do a bunch of different things, right? And you know what? That is a good question. That is, I think so too. He looks a little grumpier. But aren't these fun? Oh, really? Oh, really? That's really, Kristen, that's interesting that you say that. Aw. My my one dog, well, can't really see her here, but my one dog Cookie here, she's kind of like dark here, but no, where's she at here? My one dog Cookie here, she's a dachshund. She had Sweet Pea, and then Dave and Patty had Cookie's other two babies. She took two of because Cookie had 3 puppies. It was an unplanned pregnancy. She got pregnant when we went on vacation, and she was boarded at these borders. So yeah, it was a little unplanned pregnancy, but it was a good result. We got Sweet Pea, and then we got Pepper and Ginger, which Dave and Patty had, and like I said, they live very, very long, beautiful lives. So, but yeah, that's, and then not, yeah, I know. Yeah, it's, and so, and if we have any parakeets, Dave and Patty will probably get some parakeets too. So, so we'll see. It is great to, that you're 100% correct. It is nice to be able to like follow, like, because a lot of people have puppies and they go away and stuff, and you never know where they go. And, that's always kind of sad. But I'll be very honest with you. That was the first time I had ever experienced any kind of puppy thing or having puppies. I don't think I would ever do it again, just for the simple fact that it was so hard for me. It was so hard for me to, because tons of people were saying, oh, I'll take a puppy and I'll take a puppy. And I'm like, oh, but you have a pool. And I was totally like prejudging people. And the sad thing is these are my friends. These are all my friends, and I love them dearly. But I'm like, oh, you have a pool. Oh, you have a baby under 2. I was basically, what I was doing was I was talking myself out of giving them up for adoption, because I couldn't bear giving them away. It's kind of like they're your family. It's like, I can't give the babies away. But Dave and Patty did take 2, because there was no way that at that time I could have. It would have been for, God, six dogs at the time. I mean, I'm crazy, but I mean, that would have been a little too crazy. So anyways, but getting into Pet Loss Tuesday, I thought that we would do, because this past week with getting so many new subscribers, I got a lot of really cool questions. So I thought I would answer some mail, do mail questions, because a lot of these questions are just, they go for everybody who has lost a pet. And again, it's just, to me, it's helpful all the way around. So in spirit of the old AOL, which I don't know if YouTube will have a problem with this or not, but I don't care. If everybody remembers. You've got mail. You've got mail. Everybody remembers the old AOL. If you don't, then you're too young, and God bless you. But you've got mail, AOL, when the internet first came out and all we had was dial up. God love those times. But anyway, so we've got mail, and I thought, like I said, some of these were really, really great questions. And so I thought, let's go through some of them, and again, feel free to answer in the chat, and give your experiences, or and so forth. So I don't know, like Coco is gonna, like, she's digging into my ground, like she's gonna just dig herself to China or something like that. But anyway, but we do have the potato up here with me, so what are you doing? She can't hear me because she's deaf. But anyway, so all right. Okay, so let's start with some of the first questions. And like I said, we can kind of elaborate on this. But the first question that was sent to me was, how do I know if what I'm feeling after losing my pet is normal? That is huge. That when I ran my pet loss support groups, that was a big topic. Because a lot of times people, when, depending on how what your bond was with your animal, you can have a deeper grief than maybe another animal that passed. I always kind of give the example of my one that passed down here tragically. That one hit me horribly. My sweet pea, she, lived to be 17 years old, 17, 18 years old. And I didn't grieve her as hard because, and the bond was still there. I'll be very honest, the bond was still there, but she was the one that I was able to, I turned on my dog TV. It was all quiet. I had her wrapped up in a little blanket, and we sat there and I rocked her until she passed away. And, it was, like I said, the grief there was totally different. And I think sometimes it was because of, again, my one was pretty traumatic, but then the other one was more, it was sad, that the passing was sad, but it was such, and Sweet Pea was one that was Cookie's baby. So, I was there, when she was born. I got her out when she was born, and I was there when she left this world. And what a beautiful gift I was given in life, to be able to have both of those experiences. Many times we adopt dogs, and Coco was already 2, and we never get to see some of the puppy stages and so forth. But on that one, it was a very, very sad loss, but it was also just a beautiful ending to a chapter in a book, right? Oh no, I'm sorry. Well, welcome. Oh, I'm sorry. When did your mom Spiegel pass away? That's see, and what I've noticed online too, we've had a lot of losses. Aw, Dottie, I love that name. My my sister has beagles. Oh, a couple days ago. Oh, I'm so sorry. I hope she's doing okay. I hope she's doing okay. And and that's I'm glad that oh, she was off. Oh, yeah. And that's something too. It's like when sometimes when they she could not, towards the end she couldn't eat. That's something too at the end when that things aren't going too well. They do that where they stop eating, and which happened with a couple of mine too. Aw. But thank you for being supportive. It definitely hugs to your mom, but you sound like a wonderful support person. for her too, because it's gonna take her a bit, especially if it was a few days ago. But it's I think as loved ones, we have this important role. Um, sometimes, and especially depending on that's your mom, right? Depending on who it is, you know, we have we kind of have this responsibility now, when somebody is grieving hard like that, to to want to protect them. And and that's I feel that when people are grieving hard, they're in a more vulnerable state, and as loved ones, it's kind of our duty to step up, maybe, and protect them from other people, give them, um, crazy little, right, they do, and that's the thing, they do, and when they get towards the end there and they stop eating. um, I know that was my thing too, because you always know that, like, like Coco, right? Coco is she's my garbage disposal. I call her. Coco will eat anything. You put it there. I mean, for God's sake, she ate a dead mouse years ago, and almost, like, flip my lid. But she's like my little garbage disposal. But I've had other dogs the same way. My the vacuum, right? Um, but I've had other dogs too that were the same way as her, but I knew, like, towards the end of their life, um, when they stop eating, or I would try anything. I would go to the store and get, like, steak and like, just anything to try to get these dogs to eat. Um, but that, like, when they totally stop eating, and I think that's also, like, with a couple of them too. They like with mine, they had to take meds. They had to take all these meds around the clock, with their food or without their food. And once they stop eating and they stop taking those meds, I think that's when we, as owners, a we kind of know that it's towards the end of their life, um, and it's kind of a reality check for us. But I think I think it's also a good indicator that if we are going to have to make that tough decision, um, that to euthanize and so forth, um, that is a very, very good sign, um, that you're towards the end. And if you do have to make us, because nobody wants to see their animals suffer. And to me too, one of the biggest things suffering would be not being able to eat or drink or anything like that, right? So it's to me very, it's almost like a blessing sign, right? I mean, because that's what my questions in here too is, how do you know when it's the right time, right? Somebody had asked that too, so I guess I could jump into that too. How do you know it's the right time? And they always say, it's funny because they always say that, that you'll know, right? You'll know. And you're like, what the hell does that mean? Especially if you're going through it for the first time. First time is always scary, but even ones after, even I've had several dogs after, and I mean, you still question it. You're still like, maybe one more day, maybe one more day, maybe I'm thinking wrong. I'm thinking wrong. Maybe there's a lot of things that your mind plays tricks on you, right? Because you love that animal so much, and the last thing you want to do is let it down. And so your mind throws all these things, but then I always knew, like, at the end, that it was her, when it was, I always knew at the end when it was time. And so it was right. They knew, they tell you when it's time. So Dottie lived a long time. Aw. Now, where are you from? What area are you from? What are you from? The United States? Or are you from a different country? Um, I know, right? And the UK. Oh, nice. Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. Um, yeah, and and Michelle's 100% correct, right? And you can tell when dogs live a very long life. Well, too. I mean, and I shouldn't say that. I I'll, I take. Oh, nice. Um, I shouldn't say that because there is times when dogs get sick, and I mean, God forbid, they get cancer at a very young age, or like my dachshund, went paralyzed at a young age. So it's nothing that an owner could do wrong. You can't control certain things like that. You can't control cancer. You can't control, uh, you know, bad situations. But what we can do is make the best decision for them, and it's always out of love. But when it comes to, is it the right time? Uh, every vet that I have talked to, uh, with regards to asking that question to, uh, I always, and even I've asked my vet that, right? Like, is it the right time? And my vet always told me, she said, I've never had somebody come back after it was over and question if they put euthanized a dog or cat or whatever too soon. The biggest thing that comes back at vets, um, is, did I wait too long? And that happens a lot. A lot of people will say, did I wait too long to do it? It's never, did I do it too soon? And I think that has a lot to say, for people and their love and their ownership. And sometimes it's so hard. I mean, it's not easy by any means, right? Um, but I know, my Lola's eyesight is going too. Lola's going on what, 13 now, 13, 14, and her eyesight's getting there. She's slowing down. We just all went camping a few weeks ago, and I just look at her and she just mills around, and I mean, she's a happy old lady. Because that's what they are, right? They're senior citizens just like we are. And it just, you just take care of them, like, their eyesight everything goes, right? I mean, just like us in life. But what we do, we love them even harder, and we take care of them even more. That's a perfect time when family comes together. Family comes together to take care of one another. So, but anyway, uh, so common feelings. Here's some common feelings that after you lose a pet, and maybe this is some of the stuff you can take to your mom too, because again, she just went through a fresh loss. So as her support system and so forth, this is going to be this is going to be this is going to be a minute for her. Especially if this was her only dog. I don't know if she's got other dogs, but even still, I mean, I've lost dogs and had several dogs in the house. And it's still, I still grieve for long periods of time on some of them. But common feelings after a pet loss: sadness, of course, guilt. Guilt is huge. Guilt is our minds playing tricks on us, but it's also, guilt is also one that, see, and I had this show a few weeks ago too, but like, the human body is amazing how it protects us. And all these different things that pop up, like guilt, like you're replaying the situations, and did I wait too long, and did I do it too soon? But it's just, that's so common. It's one of the stages of grief, and it's just something that you have to work through when it does hit. Oh, how'd you know her eyesight was going? Did she bump into things? Well, that is a good question. Yeah, well, I know with Lola, aw. Well, I know with Lola, like, her eyes are, getting cloudy and all that stuff. She's not bumping into anything quite yet. Um, but too, like my in-laws too, they had, they had all these little schnauzers that were beautiful, beautiful little dogs. And, some of them, I know that there was one, I believe it was Mr. Peabody. I believe he had gone blind towards the end of his life. But, once they know their house, they can navigate around as long as you're not moving furniture and all sorts of stuff. But I mean, even, all that, oh, well, yeah, I think it's like anything, right? They get heightened senses. Um, but yeah, so, well, yeah, you said she's a hound. Yeah, hounds are great dogs. Um, but some other neural feeling numbness, you kind of start feeling detached from things or people, which is fine. That's perfectly normal. Anger is going to be a big one. Your mom might face anger. Maybe she was angry at some situation, with the ending, or maybe not. But sometimes people get mad at the vets. They'll get mad at the illness. They'll get mad at themselves. They'll get mad at other people. Um, it happens. And I think, we just look for anger. Anger is often grief looking for somewhere to go. Um, and it's trying to find answers. Yeah, and so that's all that is. Relief is another big one, and it's relief. It can be paired with guilt, right? Um, if your pet was suffering, at the end, you may have relief that that they're not suffering anymore. And I know that we feel that with people too, right? When people maybe have been suffering, say, for cancer for a long time, or illnesses for a long time, and they finally, if they finally pass on. um, it's horribly sad. It's horribly sad. But in your mind, you're thinking, at least they're not in pain anymore. At least not in pain anymore. I mean, regardless, we're all gonna walk that path in life. Um, we're just like anything, we're gonna expire, and that's fine. We're gonna move on to the next, plane, and we'll be out of any kind of pain and all that stuff too. But it's feeling relief is perfectly normal. It's perfectly normal part of pet loss. So you can have physical symptoms. Physical symptoms are huge with pet loss, and trouble sleeping, changes in appetite, brain fog, fatigue, anxiety, concentrating. Um, your body is adjusting to a major loss. It's not just your heart. Your whole body is adjusting to the loss. So it's not just your heart and your head. Um, let's see. One of the biggest signs, um, one of the biggest signs, and a lot of people don't think this, but biggest signs that your grief is normal, um, is that you keep reaching for your pet in some way. That's a huge sign. And that's perfectly normal. It's perfectly normal. You listen for their footsteps. You look for them in their favorite spot. Reach for leashes. You expect to hear them bark. Your brain is trying to catch up to a reality your heart does not want to accept. I like that. I like that saying. And it's true. It's true. Um, so that's a big one. And I think, a lot of that too comes with our routine, right? When we own pets, it's 24 hours a day, 365, right? And sorry, sorry, my little potato. Um, but it's 365, 24/7. And so when that's gone, that's our routine. And of course it's going to take us used to it and time to get used to. So if you woke up at 3 o'clock every morning, like I do, because they wake me up at 3 o'clock in the morning to be let out, same thing, they eat at a certain time, that's still going to hit you. And But yeah, it's okay. So when you start to heal, here's the flip side of that. When you start to heal, what does that look like? So, um, talking about your pets without breaking down crying. That's a good one. That's very good. Smiling at memories more often. Carrying the love forward even through the pain, even though the pain remains. Um, Finding ways to honor their life. The goal isn't to stop loving them. The goal is learning how to carry that love differently. I like that too. And you know, so often in pet loss and grief, it's all about rush. It's rush, 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 because again, it's not accepted by society. It's society calls it disenfranchised grieving. Uh, so means it's not grief that's highly recognized, but it's um, it's our job. It's our job to take care of ourselves, but also to um, you know understand when other people are going through it. But if they've never gone through it before, recognize some of these signs, and if you can pass the information on, just let them know they're normal. um, a second question: how can I get through the first few days after losing my pet? um, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. There's one. Yeah, right here on the couch. This is Rosie. Yeah, she for some reason. Yeah, Rosie's here, and then Coco's on the floor over there. Um, but yeah. Oh yeah, she normally camps out up here. Um, my little potato. She's in the pictures up here behind me too. Which I'll towards the end I'll wake her up. Yeah, my little Rosie. Um, but yeah, but so getting through the first 2 days can feel so crazy. Um, can feel so absolutely crazy. Uh, many people just it's like walking through a fog, and uh, because you're now adjusting back to a life you haven't identified with for how many years, right? Because when we get pets, our whole identity changes. Who we are as a person changes. I think sometimes our pets, bring out and teach us so many things about life, and the beauty of life, and enjoying things in life, enjoying people, and taking time to just enjoy things. I always laugh, and I will make this statement 10 times over. You know, nobody comes and greets me when I come home from work or come home from the store, like my dogs do. Right? I mean, they are, yeah, exactly. Your identity changes, right? Um, but when I come home, nobody's running at the door. No human in this house is running at the door going, "Oh, mom's home." Blah, 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 blah. Nobody does that, but my dogs do, and and I'm sure people that have dogs, cats, or whatever. I mean, you know too that that's like the highlight of your day. I don't care what kind of day you're having. You could have like the worst day in the world, but knowing that right when you open that door, you've got that like they've just seen a movie star, right? And then they sit there and they follow me around for the rest of the night, and then we have our nighttime routine. It's just that's your whole identity. Like I'm a totally different person than I was before I had them. And again, I think they teach us so much. I think kids should have dogs and cats and some sort of animal, because it teaches responsibility, but it also teaches them unconditional love. Um, it these animals teach us unconditional love, and so it's it's just it's hard. It's hard. Again, you've got to give yourself permission to grieve. You don't have to be strong for everybody else. This is the time in your life when you can actually be selfish. I always tell people, don't worry about anybody else. Take care of yourself. Be selfish. If you have a support system, have them. If you can't tell people no, because some people aren't, people that can tell people no, Have your support system tell them out. Tell them that you can't do it, right? Oh, okay, yeah. When I come to visit Dave and Patty, they do get excited. Now they don't get quite excited as my dogs, but they do get excited. And typically, I don't tell them until I just pull up at their door. So it's more of a surprise, like, hey, hey, I just showed up here, because unfortunately, we live 5 6 hours apart from each other, so we never get, you know, we don't often get a chance to be together during the year, but when we do it, it is good times. It is good times. Um, but don't be afraid to hide your tears. You don't have to explain your grief to anybody, especially people who don't understand it. You don't have to tell anybody shit. Like I think sometimes we're such like people pleasers in life that it's people. Oh well, why are you doing that? Why do you care, right? That's the way. Like, why do you care? Why? Like, I always say, like, if you don't pay my bills, if you're not, in my house, you're not paying my bills, then why do you care what I do? If I'm crying a little extra or whatever, why do you care? And that's the way people, when it comes to pet loss and grief, be selfish, be totally selfish. You can do it. It's all about you, and it's all about taking care of yourself. And you know what? If you piss people off, you piss them off. Guess what? They'll get over it. And if they don't, then you know what? They don't, and that's on them. That's a them problem. It's not a you problem. Uh, because you know what? You're going through something right now, and they're not, and they're just in their feelings. And oh well, they'll get over it. So, and I don't make any excuses about that, because again, this is people need to realize that as hard as losing a human. And until society realizes that the bond there, and the definite correlation between pet loss grief and human grief, um, is just as powerful, then I disturb you? Is just as powerful. Then again, it's on them. It's on them. And again, some people, like we talked about last week, some people don't have that same kind of bond with animals that we do. Um, and that's okay. That's okay. They don't quite understand, and that's fine. It's perfectly fine. So our job is to take care of ourselves, make sure we're eating, we're resting. Um, we can, unfortunately, we can expect, to be triggered all during the times of grief. Any little thing can trigger you. Um, Accidentally reaching for the leash. I know I talked about, um, you know, dropping food and forgetting that nobody's there to pick it up, right? Or to scoop it up like a vacuum. That's triggering. Um, so, looking forward to their, looking at their bed, or looking for, like I said, we have our nighttime routines. People make fun people make fun of us, like the moderator, but we have our nighttime routines where we get ready for bed and so forth and all that stuff. You know what? You are 100% correct. I don't understand why people don't like dogs either. And again, if they don't have to be dogs, they can be cats or whatever too. But I don't understand why people don't like dogs either. But I will say this. I will say this. Um, um, that that the there's a guy that I work with, and I love him to death. Um, I love him to death. When I when I first got my Rosie, I brought her into work, and because of where he's from, he grew up in Somali. He's a U.S. citizen. He lives here now, and he's been here for a long time. But anyways, he is petrified of dogs, absolutely petrified of dogs. So I brought Rosie in, not realizing he's petrified of dogs. But I brought Rosie in, and Rosie was just like a little potato at the time because she was a puppy, and he was like, "Oh, am I bothering you?" He was like scared to death of her, and I was like, "Oh my God!" I'm like, what is going on here? But he explained to me that there are some, there's some like cultures and countries. Um, yeah, well, yeah, there, and we in one of our other episodes we talk about different areas that they cherish dogs. I mean, it's like it's very, well, oh yeah, guy from my, oh yeah. Well, here's the reason why. Okay, you said okay, he's scared of dogs. Yeah, they're scared of dogs. Exactly. Well, mostly security dogs, and also like he was the my friend from Somalia was telling me. He said, they're mostly wild there, and the dogs are wild there. So they're when they live there and grow up there, they're taught not to even go by the dogs because they're wild, considered wild dogs. So that's why they're so afraid of them. Now the fun part for me was getting um, getting him to hold Rosie and get over his fear of dogs because I love dogs and there's no way I'm going to have a friend of mine be afraid of dogs. We had the same situation when we always have kids in and out of the house because of my son, and there was a new family in the neighborhood, and I laughed because it was funny at the time. It was funny because of the dog's reaction more than anything, but it was he anyway. So I was in the house, and my son came in, of course, with a group of kids. They all go up and run into his room. Well, all of a sudden, this like blood curdling screaming comes, and I was like, "Oh my god!" So I went running, and one of the little boys was just screaming at Rosie, and Rosie's looking at him like, "What the hell is going on? Why is this little boy screaming at me?" Well, he was the same way. He was from I don't know if he was from like Nigeria or somewhere along that lines. But him and his brother were deathly afraid of dogs. And I was like, oh my God, I had no idea. So we're like, okay, well, here's what we're going to do. Because then I felt so bad because then the little boy was like, oh, he was afraid that I wasn't going to let him come over anymore. And I'm like, no, we're not doing that. I'm like, no, but I'm like, let's, get you used to the dogs, because I think the dogs were just as afraid of him. So, so we did. So I'm like, you are absolutely more than welcome to come over to the house. But you got to be able to coexist with the dogs, who don't do anything to anybody. So, yes. Yeah, you're right. You're 100% right. We talked about that in one of our videos too. Yeah, India is one too where they're homeless, but the people there take care of them. Right. And the government, yeah, right. And the government takes care of them. They feed them. So Cokie, what are you eating? Come here. Oh, now Coco's coming back. Coco's coming back and Rosie's probably going to follow her soon. Hi, what are you getting in trouble too? But yeah, so it's just, I mean, some different cultures have different views on dogs, and I get that. Like if you're from a place where dogs are, I guess, or if you grow up with the fact that like dogs are have rabies or maybe they are dangerous in that area. But I mean, I look at like I look at like like Coco and like, well, who couldn't love you? Who couldn't love your your goofy butt, right? You're so goofy. Right. So, but yeah, it's definitely definitely interesting. But I mean, it's also important. I always tell people to you can heal from pet loss as well. The more you talk about them, the more you talk about the ones that you lost, the more you tell people about them. That's my little Coco. My little Coco's a mess. But the more you talk about your pet's life, it keep their memories alive, reduce feelings. Remind yourself that your pet's life was bigger than their final day. And that's another thing that we have to focus on too with pet loss and grief, is that their life was more than just that it was more than just that final day. Right. You're right. They're an extension of our hearts and souls. 100%. Right. 100%. And, that it's just, another thing that we can do as well is, um, create small memorials. Um, oh, you're going to fall off those stairs. Create small memorials. Um, I have my memorial in my garden that is all dedicated. I have one corner in there, which is, dedicated as a real nice memorial. Nobody's buried out there. They're all on my mantle. But it's got a rainbow bridge and it has all these statues and it's just real pretty. And I just, one day when I was sitting on my back deck, I'm like, you know what? I'm like, that corner, I want to do like a memorial. And I want to have something that anytime I come out here and enjoy the weather, because I was there a year or two, anytime I come out here and enjoy the weather, I want to be able to look over there and have just a nice little thing where I can remember them as well. So create a memorial, light a candle, frame your photos. That helps kids as well, kids with grief. That if you have kids that are going through a hard time, you can create something with them, create a special spot for them. If Aaron's on, he's got a wonderful Facebook page. It's called In the Quiet. He does these absolutely wonderful letters. And I read one, if you go back to a couple of my previous videos, I read the one that he wrote for my son, Brady. And my son absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. But you can do things like that. Anything that you do in remembrance of your your letters are absolutely beautiful, and your site and everything else that you've added to it is wonderful. I still have to get your book. That's so in the quiet on Amazon. Aaron, post your link. That is on my to-do list this week, so I have to get that book. That is on my list. But post that link for your book on there, please. I'm not yelling at you. I'm just I'm asking you nicely. I just don't want to forget. That's why I keep saying it. But another thing is be careful with your guilt. Many grieving pet parents spend their first few days replaying everything. This is very, very important. Decisions made from love are not the same as mistakes. So euthanizing, that's a decision made from love. It's not the same as a mistake. When just guilt is common after pet loss because we carry so much responsibility for their care. Try to remember decisions are made from love, not from mistakes. Also, again, lean on people. Lean on your support system. Make sure that they're a good support system. Find places like this, pet loss support groups, anything that any kind of support group would have them join the channel here on Tuesdays. Everybody's welcome. And, I always say, if you don't have a friend, you have one now. I know we get goofy at times with different things, but everybody that comes here is very important. And, I hope that you can at least find a community where, where you feel supported, because pet loss is, and I've said it in the past, it is a very, very lonely, pet loss is a very, very lonely time. It's very, very lonely. So find trusted friends. So anyways, but let's see. I've got like so many other questions, but I know that we're out of time, but it's still, I know that we started what are you doing? You're starting with kisses is what you're doing. You're being so good. Let's see here. I want to see if I can grab one more question. This might be a good one here. And then we could do all the rest of the questions on next Tuesdays, because like I said, there was quite a lot of good information. But how about this one? How do I stop replaying my pet's final moments in my mind? This is one of the most heartbreaking things during pet loss. Why can't I stop seeing that day is a question. Why do I keep replaying the euthanasia appointment? Why is the last images of my pet stronger than the happy memories, right? It's your brain trying to make sense of a profound loss. Again, pet loss is a profound loss. And your brain is trying to wrap its head, no pun intended, right? It's trying to get a handle on what happened. So it keeps replaying those moments over, trying to get it to click to you that, this happened, right? But it's also, you're going through all the stages of grief, but you're also trying to find answers. Getting answer, but you already know the answer to it, right? I mean, we already know. No matter what questions we ask ourselves, no matter what we replay to ourselves, we know the answers. It doesn't make it hurt any less. We know that it's, it was the right decision to make, and you'll have people say, yeah, it was, but it's hard. It's hard. What did they say? Your head tells you all these things, but you have to still try to explain that to your heart. So it's one of the hardest things. We're searching for answers, but unfortunately, no amount of replaying any of that will produce a different ending. It all ends the same way, and no matter what you come up with or what you think, like I said, with my one big loss, I sat there for a long time, and I played with it in my head, and I'm like, what if I would have done this, or what if I would have done that? And it took me a while to realize that I'm not God. Nobody knows when our ticket's going to be up in life. Nobody knew when his ticket was going to be up in life. And, for me to sit there and beat myself up for the rest of my life with, what if, or did I, what's that going to do? It's not going to bring him back, right? I know. And it's hard, right? I mean, but it's hard. It's hard to also explain that to yourself, right? I mean, hell, Erin, it took me a long time. It took me a long time to finally, tell myself, that I need to find peace in knowing that A, I'm not God, but B, that was his day. That was his day. That was the time, and nothing that I could have done or nothing I could have did better was going to change the outcome. Again, it hurt like hell. It hurt like hell. But I couldn't. And my dog wouldn't have wanted that. Our dogs love us more than anything in the world. They don't want us sitting there going, what if, and they want us happy. I believe that they just want us happy, and because no matter what, again, when we come home, they're happy to see us, and they want to make us happy by being happy. So they don't want to see us, So the important thing with regards to that is kind of changing the narrative. So how do you change the narrative on there? So the final memory. So when the final memory appears, try asking yourself what memory comes immediately before this one. And then what comes immediately before that one. You're teaching your brain that your pet's story is bigger than their death. You start remembering goofy smiles and their favorite toys, the way that they greeted you at the door, silly habits, things like that. How they died. You're replacing how they died with how they lived. And that's important too. And we forget that because, again, we get wrapped up in the last page of the story, and we forget about the whole book that was fabulous. We had this whole book that was fabulous, and somehow we get caught up in the last page, of the last chapter, which, again, that last page is very important, but it's not more important than the whole rest of the book, and all the years and all the love, and we don't want to forget that. So it's kind of, when we get in this where we're replaying, we kind of have to, when things like this come up, and I even say this with things that trigger us as well. There's times when you're going to be triggered and you may not be able to, have a breakdown, right? I work in corporate America, and if I get triggered by something, I can't just break down in a conference room and cry. I've got to feed myself the narrative that, okay, it's good to have these feelings. However, this is not the time. It's not telling yourself that you can't grieve. It's just saying this may not be the exact time to do it. So I'm at the stage where I can take it and I can change the narrative and I can switch it off and say, okay, it's almost like you have a box and you're taking that and you're taking that moment and you're putting it in a box and you're saying, you know what, I'm going to close the box, and later on when I have time and I'm alone, I can open that back up and I can revisit that to where I'm in a comfortable place to be able to share my feelings and not worry about it affecting anybody else. So, but it's all about kind of changing the narrative on it and then changing our focus. And sometimes with that, I'll be honest, sometimes with that, people will, once they start being able to smile a little bit more, maybe tell stories where they're not breaking down as much, they start feeling guilty. They're feeling like, oh, should I be feeling better? And then they start backtracking in their grieving process because, they think they're doing that pet a disservice. Sometimes, and I think I was there too, that you were to the point where you were almost afraid of losing some of those moments in the grief part because you didn't want to start forgetting. It was more of a fear of like, I'm going to forget how they were and how they smelled and how they touched and you feel like, oh my God, I'm feeling better. Does that mean that I'm going to start forgetting them? Does it mean I'm going to, no, it doesn't mean that at all. It just means that you've trained your brain to reframe the situation into something a little bit more peaceful for you. And it's all about peace because you're going to have it for a long time. You're going to have your this is an animal that gave you long years of life. And so it's not going to take you a day to get over it. It's not going to take you a week to get over it. And there's no getting over it, sorry to say. So there is no getting over it, but there is healing from it. And there is finding peace with it. And that's the important part, is finding peace. Because when you can tell their story in a beautiful way and be at peace with it in your heart, that, gosh, that was, such a wonderful, wonderful part of my life. And, what are you doing? What are you doing, potato? It just, you just remember that, that whole part, and you wouldn't do it again, right? You wouldn't do it over. You would not have that pet in your life. I know I wouldn't. As much as all those losses killed me, absolutely killed me. I would not do it again. I would not, and I wouldn't ever say in my life that hurt so much that that I would never wish that I hadn't had that dog in my life. because there were so many good times, so many memories with the family, so many goofy times. What are you doing? But I mean, so there's just so many different avenues to. All right, hang on one second. There's so many different avenues that you can just come here, reframe things. So, sorry, the potato wanted up, and she's got little stump. I don't know why she didn't use her things. But anyways, so when I got her hooked on my thing. So, but here, you sit with us for this. So we are at an hour and 15. We are going to be back on Friday, Frenchie Day, or Frenchie Friday, this Friday. And then, of course, Tuesday again, where we'll probably get through more of those questions. I had a ton of them. But anyway, so let's get to our candle lighting. Thank you again if you came on. And Kristen, thank you for joining again. And Northman, thank you for coming from the UK. Send hugs to your mother. She can have her join. I would, hopefully she can, you see this. You see this. What are you doing? Stop scratching my couch. Nice to meet you. Yes, and you don't have a friend, you have one now. Everybody's always more than welcome. I swear, I love my dog. Anyway, so we're getting ready to light a candle. Thank you guys for supporting it and showing up, and I appreciate everybody more than anything. I'm gonna light the candle, and it's funny because every time I do this, every time I do a candle lighting, I think people think it's like witchcraft or something, and they like they log onto the channel even more. They're like, what is she doing with a candle? Because that's all they'll see is the candle. But anyway, so we are not doing witchcraft. We are doing, yes, exactly. She's digging in the check. Come here. I know you're being so good. But anyway, so we've got our candle lit for all of our ones that have gone, have left this plane, but loved us unconditionally. Again, if you found us, thank you for stopping by. You mean more than anything. If you don't have a friend, you have one now. Please, if you know anybody else is going through pet loss and grief, send them on my way. We just want to build a big community to start helping people. Normalite, and she's gonna eat my robe. You think you're gonna do that? So, you see this bad dog? Does everybody see the bad dog? Yes, bad dog. No. Oh my word. Anyway, so nope, cut it out. So anyway, so here's our candle for all the ones that we've lost. And again, thank you all for stopping by. We will see you on Friday for Frenchie Friday. And I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful, safe rest of your day and a safe night. And you are biting my thing again. Oh my goodness. Give me the feather. No. Oh my word. There's gonna be a potato for sale. After the very, 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 very. No, but she's a good girl. So, anyways, I do feed her once in a while. You say I don't feed you. You say I don't feed you. But anyway, so we will see you guys on Friday. Please like, comment, subscribe. Tell all your friends about us. I'm so happy that everybody has joined us. Thank you guys if you're new. Thank you. You mean the world to me. I appreciate it. Appreciate everybody that has stopped by. Have a good rest of your night. Please be safe. And the potato says good night. Oh, where's? Oh, I know. The good dog is upstairs. Lola, you're a good dog. The good dog is upstairs. Lola's upstairs. Lola sleeps more often now. But yeah, she was down here last time, but for some reason she didn't come down today. So she's got to rest. She's our little senior citizen. So, and God love her. She's such a good girl. So anyways, but all right, have a good night. I will see everybody on Friday. Thank you. And again, thank you. And then make sure if you're on Facebook, stop by In the Quiet on Aaron's page. Check that out. And then go on Amazon as well and check his new book out as well. So please, please, please check it out there. And see you all Friday. Take care. Bye-bye.